Hi friends, I'm starting an experiment to grow red cherry tomatoes in Aerogarden Harvest 360. This variety is called Pinocchio and it is from the micro dwarf category. These plants will grow up to 9 inches. I am planning to grow 2 plants in this Aerogarden. So with some backup, I am placing 3 seeds in each pod and starting with 2 pods. That's it. The garden is ready. Let's see how this will turn out. It's been 3 days. All seeds germinated and the seedlings are coming very nice. This is really fast. I never saw any tomato seeds germinated this fast. Please ignore the other pots in this garden. I am just trying to make better use of this garden. So I am temporarily using the other holes for some short crops. By the way, I have a separate video about using the Aerogardens more efficiently. Please find the link in the description below if you are interested. Now that I got all the seedlings, I will start adding the nutrition. I will use just the Aerogarden nutrition throughout this grow cycle. Day 6, seedlings are growing very nice and they started developing real leaves. It's time to thin out the seedlings and keep only one plant per pod. It is always better to thin out the seedlings when they are young. It is so easy to pull them out at this stage because they don't have a lot of roots. That's it. Now I have only one seedling per pod. Day 30. Both plants started producing flower buds and some of them started opening already. That's very exciting news. Day 45. Lots of flowers on both plants. I am also seeing some baby tomatoes. Plants are getting overcrowded. I am also noticing powdery mildew on some of the leaves. So I will remove all these affected leaves as well as some older leaves. I think they need more airflow. Here they are after removing some leaves. Now it looks less dense. I just noticed edema on some of the leaves. I think this will also be taken care now because these plants should be getting nice airflow. Day 70. Plants are loaded with tomatoes. I see one tomato started ripening. Lots of tomatoes reached to their maximum size and they are preparing to ripe. While the tomatoes are growing nice, these plants are heavily suffering from powdery mildew. I am having difficult time dealing with these plants. Good news is I am still seeing a lot of fresh growth and new flowers. However, not all these flowers are surviving. The reason could be that the plants are already loaded with lots of tomatoes. Maybe they are going through some stress. Speaking of the powdery mildew, I have this 1.5-year-old Aerogarden's red heirloom cherry tomato plant and it never had any powdery mildew issues. Not only this plant, I have grown so many varieties of tomato plants so far and many of them are disease resistant. But this Pinocchio looks very sensitive. With these heavy powdery mildew issues, I am not going to grow this variety again, especially indoors. Even though these plants are prolific, the powdery mildew is demotivating me. Day 90. Lots of tomatoes ripened very well and ready to harvest. Look at this powdery mildew. It is all over the plants. I can't remove all these leaves, especially during the fruiting stage. Anyways, it is time to give it a taste test. I hope at least the tomatoes are tasty. Taste is not bad. Little bland. Neither sweet nor sour. Little hard to describe this taste, but they are okay. I love Tiny Tim geranium keys and orange head tomatoes, and these Pinocchio tomatoes are nowhere close to any of them. Even the yield is also not so great. These plants were looking like overloaded with tomatoes, but that's not really the case. Maybe because these plants are so compact, they were looking like loaded with tomatoes. Now I realized that the yield is very low, especially comparing to many cherry tomato varieties I have grown so far in my Aerogardens. Day 100. One plant has reached the end of the life. All tomatoes ripened and I don't see any new growth on this plant. But the other plant started some new growth. I can harvest all the tomatoes, trim the plants and try to continue them. But I'm not that happy with this variety, especially comparing to my Tiny Tim, Aerogarden red heirloom, geranium keys and orange head tomatoes. So I will end this garden here. That is all for now. Thanks for watching. Happy aero gardening.